Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas here with Joel Daniel Harris, who is the executive dreamer at Tom Todd Ideas, and that is Tomorrow Today. Ideas all being dreamt up by middle school. When we say middle school, what age range are we talking about here?
Most of our programming is built for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. During our summer programming, we might get some fringes on either side of that, but primarily that sort of early adolescence, right when kids are making that transition from kids to adulthood, and they're exploring, their minds are expanding, exploding. I mean, it's fascinating, really, what's happening. Their brains, did you know that in middle school, you have more neuronal activity than you ever will for the rest of your life? And it's creating these decision-making pathways that influence the way that you make decisions for the rest of your life. And so
it does make sense.
Yeah. And
so, it explains a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Which means, like, it opens it up to some really challenging parts, like let's try jumping off the garage roof because why not? But it opens it up to some really interesting possibilities, too, because there's a real opportunity for influence. And so what are those influences going to be? And how can we help those influences to be create decision-making pathways that are great influences for the rest of life?
Just incredible how we're made. And don't jump off a roof, by the way.
Right, exactly.
So let's go back to some of these really interesting things. I'm sure some of them seemed impossible when someone brought them up to you, but somehow you made them go. Let's talk about some of these ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our first ideas was a student who had some friends at school. One had Down syndrome and another one had another disability. And he thought that they were some of his great friends, and he thought they were so cool, but he saw other kids making fun of him. And, one of the things to me that's fascinating is instead of sort of responding to these other kids that were making fun of them and this, you're wrong, you're terrible, I can't believe that you would think like that. He said, the only reason why they're doing this must be because they don't understand Down syndrome. They don't understand what my friends are facing.
That's very mature.
Yeah, and I think it's more mature than a lot of times we as adults think about situations even. And so he said the approach then has to be about educating people. It can't just be about telling other folks that they're wrong and to stop doing that, but it has to be about educating and creating more shared understanding. So the other thing that Derek loved was Derek is the name of the student. He loved duct tape. He loved making things out of duct tape. And so he said, what if we could make duct tape bracelets and use it as a chance to raise awareness about Down syndrome and the issues that surround it and the community that surrounds it. And each bracelet would come with a tag that has a fact about Down syndrome and a link to a website where there'd be more resources, and we could sell them and we would raise money that we could give to the Upside of Downs, which is a local organization that works with Down syndrome awareness. And so that's what we helped him do. And over his project, he raised I think over $1,500.
Oh my gosh.
But what's even cooler to me is not just the money that he raised, but we were able to connect him to different communities, and he ended up as a 7th and 8th grader becoming a public speaker. And in the time that we worked with him, he spoke to over 2,000 students or adults, just 2,000 people in the community at these different speaking events as a middle schooler, and really, sharing so much knowledge, and sold a lot of these bracelets, which again sort of spread awareness.
And really, when you think about it, that's such a simple idea, not very expensive. And one where you say, wow, why didn't we think of that before?
Right. And in some ways, an awareness bracelet, I mean, that's something that's done. But there's something about when middle school students take things and run with it that people pay attention. And in a way that's different than if I were to be standing on the side of the road trying to sell duct tape bracelets. No one would really buy my duct tape bracelets.
Well, and his heart was in it,
theirs.
too, because he's doing this for his friends.
Yes, absolutely.
And what a difference when all you all really need to do is get to know someone, and once there's a relationship, you see that entirely differently, don't you?
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
You had to have some more really successful programs. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so another one that's one of my favorites because we just saw it launch this summer, and it came about through a community collaboration, and I think partnerships are vital to great, successful, healthy communities, is at our summer camp a year and a half ago, we saw kids come up with this idea about a bike share program. They said, could we have free bikes available for people for transportation and recreation, getting to errands and other important things in life, and we want to make it so that it's available to everyone. So that you don't have to buy in or pay for it, or but you can use it no matter your status. And so they pitched this idea and overcame a lot of obstacles. People had told Canton that, well, you aren't a big enough city to have a bike share program. It will never be successful. And you don't have enough bike infrastructure, and it won't work for all the, they'd come up with lots of reasons. And the students just said, I think we can do it. And so they really developed the idea, and they pitched it with the closing program of our summer camp is sort of a TED Talks meets Shark Tank meets Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader pitch session.
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
And they pitched their idea, and folks from the Stark County District Library and from Canton Parks and Rec were there, and they got together, and they invited their friends from Stark Parks in, and over the winter we saw this project be launched where in June we unveiled Bike Smart, and 36 bikes in 6 locations and over 2,500 rides just in the last few months.
That is amazing.
Which is mind-blowing to me. I mean, I thought it was a cool idea, but I never had any idea of how successful
people would
it would
use
be.
it that much.
Yeah.
Well, and you're talking about at a time when also in the Canton City area, they've also come up with bike lanes. And I'm sure that's part of the parks and all of that, the programming that they're doing. But was that all part of this, or was that just a really happy coincidence that this all happened at the same time?
Well, great folks like Don Meglin, which is the city engineer, and other Stark Parks and Canton City Parks. I mean, they've been thinking about bikes, and healthy communities have a healthy biking culture and really embrace that. Growing, young, vibrant communities have that as a core piece of what they're doing, and we see this in lots of other urban areas. So the city planners and the park planners have had in mind for a while we need to be more bike friendly, and so they've been putting that in motion. The code that hadn't been cracked quite yet was how to do a bike share which makes bikes accessible to people that maybe don't own them or have a hard time transporting them. So you think if you have a family, how are you going to get all your bikes on one vehicle and somewhere? Well, now through Bike Smart, you don't have to deal with the adult bikes. You can load up a few kid bikes in your car, but then the adult bikes will be there on a local park hub or at a library, and so there are 6 different locations now, and hopefully we hope for more in the future too.
That's awesome. Tell us, what are all those locations? I know the library is part of it because you can get a bike with your library card.
Yes, yeah. So through your library card, it's actually free and accessible to anyone in the community. And at the main library in downtown Canton, at the Canton Garden Center, at Edward Peele Coleman Center, at Sippo Perry branch of the library, at the Schneider Park, right there across, there's a library branch, but at the start of Schneider Park. And I'm missing one somewhere in there.
That's okay. I'm sure, go to the website. I'm sure that there's the list.
We have a link on our website at tomtoddideas.org, and then also at the Stark County District Library's website. There's just look for the Bike Smart program, and it has all the hubs listed and all the information that you could want.
Perfect. And that was so unfair of me. It's like asking somebody to name the 7 dwarfs. You can always come up with like 6 of them.
Right.
Always. And I understand that they were really thinking ahead too, and even came up with a way, like some kind of a coupon for a percentage off so that people are able to buy helmets.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And because, with bike safety is really important, but it's a little trickier to loan bike helmets out. So we're able to provide this coupon so that way people can still practice good, healthy bike safety while participating in the community. And it's the Jackson branch of the library is the 6th location. I just remembered. So
good job. So you can buy a helmet at a reduced cost, and you don't have to buy a bike, and you're able to still bike from here to there. Really awesome idea. Okay, what else have they come up with?
Oh, all sorts of things. And I'm excited. We're just coming around the bend from, we had another summer camp this past summer with some great ideas that came out of it. And the question now is which one of those ideas will go into motion. And one of the things we tried to do that I think is a bit unique about us compared to other organizations is that we really let students drive the ideas forward. So it's not really so much about our system, and a student comes into our system and goes through it and then comes out the other side with our award or something like that. And there's lots of really great, helpful organizations that develop character skills like that for students locally. But we want to say to the students, we think you have got the abilities right now, so how can we as adults come alongside of you and let you usher us along and direct us? So it means that sometimes we have ideas that don't end up going anywhere because the student isn't ready to take that idea quite yet and run it.
But maybe
needs some
later?
more development. Exactly.
So I hope you don't throw any of these away.
No, we definitely don't. But we really want to work with students, let them drive the pace, and let them drive the bus, if you will, of where are we going and what are we doing and why. And we will provide lots of helpful insight and advice along the way. So this fall we just wrapped up another open application period where students can apply to us with ideas, and I'll be sorting through, and we'll be having some of our other community volunteers that sort through these ideas to actually start connecting those students with mentors and with teams that can help their ideas get into motion. Right now we're in schools as well, so we're in North Canton Middle School, at Early College Academy with Kent City Schools, and at Lehman Middle School, and we work with over 240 students between those 3 schools, and we're exploring anything from media literacy to the civilization of North Canton, how it got here, what's going on, what's to come, what could be, sort of looking at both challenges and assets and how they intermix. And at Lehman, they're exploring art and the common good, and how can you use art as a way of helping communities grow and develop and be just healthy, wonderful places. And so all 3 of these are done in collaboration with the school administrators and with a collaborating teacher, and really helping students explore their imagination, explore innovation, explore the common good, and say, how do we create healthy, vibrant, thriving communities?
We're speaking with Joel Daniel Harris. He's the executive dreamer of Tom Todd Ideas, which is Tomorrow Today, working with middle schoolers. This is a brilliant organization, and I love the way it just involves so many people in the community all participating. Any ideas about taking this national? Because you're almost
all
like
sorts
a pilot.
of ideas.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pilot that other communities could really adapt, I would think.
Yeah, it's the last 3 years that we've been around have been a wild ride. We've added a second employee, Abby, who does an incredible job overseeing our communications. She does in-school work. She does grant work. She wears a ton of different hats. And we hope to be able to add, more employees here in the near future. And then we have talked about, how do we do a hub-based model, or another thing that, it's so important. Work with students has to be contextualized. So we want to do that. Well,
it's very exciting, and we're going to want to touch base with you again, see what next idea comes out of it. This is SUZIE Thomas with Joel Harris, and the website again is www.tomtodd.ideas.org. Is that correct?
Correct.
Great. All right. And this has been our community. Thanks for joining us.